Welcome to a new video from Wrocław, Poland. Tensions are high in Poland at the moment, as last week saw drones from Russian drones entering the airspace of Poland. And the airspace of Poland has not been invaded like that since World War II. So the war in Ukraine appears to be spilling over into Poland at the moment. The Russians claim that it was an accident, that some of the drones went off course and they weren't supposed to enter Polish airspace. But nevertheless, it caused high tensions here in Poland. Jets were scrambled, military was on high alert. Of course, once you invade another country's airspace, you're also invading NATO. They sent planes from the Netherlands and from several other NATO countries, as well as Poland. They scrambled them, and they were, as I said, under high alert. Luckily, there really wasn't much damage with the drones, except one crashed into a man's cottage or small house he had in the Polish forest, and did some damage to his house, actually caught on fire. So other than that, as of now, there was no issues. The Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, he has invoked an article which is very important here in EU, and it has called for all of the EU to meet and to devise a plan to protect the borders of the EU and Poland. It is very important at this time. So it's early morning here in Wrocław. I'm having a little walk, and I wanted to talk about what's going on in Poland at the moment. So the US has vowed to protect Poland. In fact, I believe that they're going to send some reinforcements to Poland, as the EU is currently sending reinforcements. They want military guns that can shoot down these anti-aircraft guns that can shoot down these drones if they enter the airspace of Poland once again. So as I said, the tensions are high. But as of now, we are almost at a stalemate. I did hear a good analysis by a vlogger, American vlogger, and he said that it seems as though Putin is testing the resolve of the EU, and he wants to see how they will react. These drones did not accidentally go off course, that they were actually sent into Polish airspace, which makes it even more diabolical and more worrisome. But the other theory I've heard proposed is that if the EU is worried about Poland and neighboring countries of Ukraine, that they may open up more avenues for Russia to finish the job in Ukraine, and they are hoping that it will draw attention from troops and maybe move different troops back to the EU, as they are worried about an invasion, and it will take away forces from Ukraine, which could be a strong possibility. Then is geopolitical games and military tactics as well. So what do you think about the issue here? Do you think that Putin is planning an invasion of Poland or of Finland or of the Baltics, or is he just trying to stir up tensions in the EU and just to kind of poke the bear? At this point, it seems like it's the latter, but it's hard to tell at this moment. And another thing I wanted to speak about was in Lithuania. The Baltics are also worried about an invasion from the Russians. Right now, they are going to build a buffer zone at their borders, and they're going to put anti-tank and anti-troop protection, different barriers along the border, let's call it. And so it will be very difficult to invade, and they want to do that not only in Lithuania but basically around the whole Baltics. And there's also an area in Kaliningrad, which is between northern Poland and Lithuania. So it's a very strategic territory, and it's also Russian controlled. It was kind of left over here after World War II. So that could be also a point of invasion from the Russians if they so decided, which I think would be suicide on their part. I don't think Putin is crazy enough to try to invade Poland or the EU, because the consequences would be very grave indeed, and much more grave than in Ukraine. So the Baltics are going ahead with that plan. They're going to build that buffer zone, and it's just extra protection from an invasion that would actually slow them and not allow them to just waltz in, and they could ready the forces and be ready and not just be taken by surprise like Ukraine was. So I think it's a good idea, but as I said, the tensions in Poland, people are a bit on edge. I'm sure in the east more than here where I am in Wrocław. I'm more in the west, so people here aren't as worried, but I believe that people in the east would definitely be worried, and even to central Poland, into Warsaw. And something happened overnight as well, another provocation. There were some drones flying over some government buildings in Warsaw. That was last night, and they were caught, the culprits, and they were actually Belarusians from Belarus. So they are in big trouble as well now. We don't know exactly what the issue is there. And there was also border controls returned to Poland. So if you're going to enter Poland, even though it's in the Schengen now, you're going to be stopped, you're going to be checked, you're going to be asked for your passport, because they are trying to keep people out of Poland that could be spies, or also they're controlling the immigration. Let's put it that way. They don't want mass migration here in Poland as they've had in Western Europe. And I did see the huge protests, the anti-immigration protests and the free speech protests in the UK. Shout out to my good friend Adventure Elliot. He was there, and there was hundreds of thousands of people gathered in Britain, and they stood up for their rights, which was fantastic to see. And it is about time people start standing up for their rights in Western Europe, because this is just craziness what's going on with this mass migration. It's completely changing Europe, and not only that, taking the free speech away from people in the UK. Police coming to arrest people for social media posts and for speaking their mind, and that is absolutely wrong. So while I'm on the subject, I'm also going to mention the assassination of Charlie Kirk in America, the political figure on the right, popular MAGA figure, close friend of Donald Trump and the Republican Party. He was assassinated in cold blood at a university in Utah. It was absolutely mind-boggling what happened, and sinister and shocking. But there's been a lot of tension in the US, political tension for years now, and a lot of vitriol on both sides, and it spilled over into violence, unfortunately. So I'm glad I'm in Poland, where we have a much more stable political system here, and people aren't trying to assassinate each other. There's actually a degree of dialogue, and in America it's gone to the extreme, which is sad. So I would encourage everyone in Poland to be calm. You have the backing of the EU, you have the backing of the United States, and you have a strong military force here in Poland as well. So I think people can rest easy, although there is high tension at the moment. This is a huge violation of Poland's sovereignty, but I'm not worried at the moment, and I don't encourage anyone else to be worried. So I hope you enjoyed this short video, and these are my thoughts from Wrocław, Poland. Until the next video, take care everyone.